What's up, everybody? It's Tom Wujak. Of course, we've got Buffalo Bob Hansen, Big Fresh Matt, Sean O'Malley here with us. Vinny, we don't know where the hell he is. He's having computer problems, but it's Buffalo After Dark, and it's June 13th. How's everybody doing?
I'm good. We're just waiting for the Italian fuck to get over here.
Hey, Sean, how's it going down there for you, man?
Not much, man. Another day. All that stuff ready to go.
Good stuff. Good stuff. As you can probably tell, it's nationalities night on here. We actually have like backgrounds of our respective countries here.
So why don't we just explain where we are and we'd be like, hey, we're on vacation!
I wish we were on vacation. Oh,
right.
Oh, good. Yeah, but hey, Bobby, start it off. Talk about your nationality here a little bit.
My nationalities, I have multiple. You know, I'm German, Irish, Norwegian, and a bit of Swedish. But most importantly, my top nationality is Irish. And behind me is Dublin, Ireland, in a beautiful overnight sensation. You can see in the background, I've got like white, green, and orange. And of course, I got the flag of Ireland right here, ready to go.
Nice.
So, they're probably the only Irishman among the crew. And I don't know if that's accurate.
Well, let's find out. Hey, Sean, talk about your nationality and all your stuff.
Well, yeah, man. So my nationality is Jamaican, and this background here behind me is the capital city of Jamaica, which is Kingston, and this is downtown Kingston. So
Nice.
There you have it.
It'd be a really cool place to visit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then for me, I'm actually a mix of Polish and Czechoslovakian, but primarily Polish. And behind me is the Castle Square in Warsaw, Poland at night, which is pretty cool. It's nicely lit up and everything. It's a good tourist area, so
Yeah.
it's not too bad. Yeah, so kicking the show off tonight with our Hotbox segment. Well, guess what? We're gonna go a little something different because we really don't have a whole ton of sports happening. But I mean, one of the biggest things, of course, NFL training camps. I mean, the Buffalo Bills are gonna be at Orchard Park, so I mean, we talked a little bit about that last week, and then this week, I mean, there really wasn't much on the Sabres other than, I mean, they're still trying to figure out scheduling and all of that stuff. But one thing that irritated me a little bit more this week is, of course, Kim Pegula again, when she came out and basically said, oh, no, I'm learning as I go. We don't need a director of hockey operations. I know more than the common fan. I know more than everybody. I'm like, Kim, what have you done in the last 9+ years you've owned this team? You've done nothing.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, basically, she's basically being an entitled prick. She refuses to change of exactly what she wants to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, she refuses to step down as president of hockey operations. And because, like I said a couple of weeks ago, or even last week, she wants full control of the team. She wants all the power in the world. And the only thing that's in her way is her idiot husband. Unless she pulls a shotgun from the wall and shoots his head off, that's the only way Kim gets control of the team.
Well, although if she does that, I mean, insurance money would be a little something, but team would probably be sold at that point, and not by her free will either.
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's a lot more to the story than the average Joe. But the Pegulas just pissed me off as a whole.
Yeah.
Like, it's nuts, honestly. I mean, I can't stand them enough. I mean, it's bad enough already that you already have this dipshit owner who thinks she's above everybody, which is not true at all. And on top of all of that, she won't give up her position. And then yet the players are all like, we want to win. And Jack Eichel came on to Drager's Cafe the other day, and he's like, you know what? I'm not going to request a trade, but I want to be on the same page as much as everybody, with Bonnaroo, Cougar, and they, quote, understand my frustration, and they're just as frustrated as everybody else. And I'm not the only one that spoke out. And, I mean, it's good for Jack that he was being completely honest. I mean, I'm not criticizing him. I can't badmouth him for that. But the point is that the most common of common things, it all circles back to who has had problems with. It's the Pegulas. And it's very, obvious that they don't give a shit about the Sabres.
Right. I mean, and here we go. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, on the other hand, I mean, I think it was more of the fact that, they actually were lucky that McDermott fell into their lap, and they're lucky that Brandon Beane fell in their lap, because I can just picture right now, had they not gone with them, we would have not even been anywhere near where we are right
Exactly.
No, I don't think so. And like I said, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If they didn't get Bean or McDermott, because they caught lightning in a bottle, they struck gold with those two guys. And I think with the mindset of those two guys going forward, it pretty much states to me that they only bought the Bills just for the idea of being an NFL owner. And they've made that statement numerous times about their ownership and how they want to run the team and everything. It's just a huge shit show is basically what I'm trying to say.
It is. I mean, and tell me if I'm wrong, but would you guys think that they're looking at owning both teams as just being like, oh, hey, it's a hobby for us. We could care less.
I don't know about if it's a hobby, but I think it's more of just their boy toy, if you will. That's how I look at it with them, with the Bills. It's their plaything, and they treat the Bills like a used condom. When you're done fucking after a while, I know you're done fucking a while, and then you go kaboom, and you wrap up the condom, and then afterwards you don't put it in the garbage, and then it stinks up over time. That's the Sabres in a nutshell.
Well, you're definitely right about that.
Well, that's one way to put it.
That's a real good way to put it. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, just everything going on with the Sabres organization right now. I mean, Botterill is probably on his like 8th out of 9 lives if you look at it in a cat like life scenario or whatever. I mean, this is the summer. He's got to make the moves, and he's got to do what he has to do with the cap money because, I mean, right now, since a lot of that dead money is finally gone, I mean, we have room where we can go and get some good players. But the thing is, if Botterill is going to do something similar to when he got absolutely nothing in return for shipping Ryan O'Reilly off to St. Louis, I mean, come on. I mean, he'll be doing that nice little swan song out of here, basically, and we'll all be saying, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Well, in his defense, Ryan O'Reilly was basically being an asshole about his way out of leaving Buffalo.
He didn't want to be here.
If you remember what he said at that time, he's like, oh, I lost my passion for the game. Everybody was okay with losing.
Right. So he basically demanded his way out. But if I'm Botterill, I mean, I'd be like, you got to get more assets for shipping Ryan O'Reilly out.
Yeah, and not much has been said since that trade. And it's kind of pathetic considering the fact that Bots has not made a monster trade since then.
Right. I mean, and I get his point of trying to follow the Pittsburgh model of building within and building through draft, but you can only do so much of that. I mean, you got to go out there and get some players that are NHL ready now. You got to get players that can instantly start. You got to get people, and you got to get Jack Eichel, Skinner, all those guys. You got to get them the help that they need because, I mean, let's face it. I mean, if it doesn't work out, and we're still in a situation a year or two from now, I mean, sure, Eichel's saying that he's not going to ask for a trade, but who's to say a year or two from now that he's going to ask for a trade? I mean, he might ask for one.
He might very well ask for one, but I don't think he wants to do it. I think he's too stubborn to ask for a trade. He wants to be the guy to say, I want to get the Buffalo Sabres in Stanley Cup.
Right.
And I think it's only said and done as to what's being said behind closed doors. But the fact that Jack is the most vocal guy among the whole organization tells you something.
Right. Well, it shows that Jack's a leader, and he wants that leader, and he's basically earned that C on the sweater. So, I mean, that's good to see. But, I mean, for him to speak up, I mean, that's good. I want to see that in your captain. I want to see that in a captain or an assistant captain, and they should be speaking up. So the fact he is doing it and he's not afraid to do it, that's a good thing.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about Jack. He's not afraid to speak his mind, and that's what it should be about, is that if you're a professional player and you're disgruntled and you have two incompetent owners, you should be speaking out because everybody says, oh, we love Raul Cougar. We think he's a great coach. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's not his fault with the players that he's been set up with as far as why they were so bad. I mean, when you have the mixed guys like Connor Sherry and Jeff Skinner and Evan Rodriguez together, that's a problem. And you could have easily put Skinner in on the top line with Eichel or Reinhart. You could have done that easily. But I think what it really comes down to is the management, and it also comes down to the ownership, because the ownerships are the ones that are saying, we're a bunch of cheap assholes and we don't want to pay for what the players what you want. You know what I mean? Because they went out and they went on a spending spree 10 years ago when they went out and got Christian Ehrhoff and Robin Regier and Billy Leno. Every single one of those contracts backfired on them.
Yeah, it did. I mean, Ehrhoff's not doing anything really anymore. Leno's completely gone from the league. I mean, you look at everyone else that they spend on, the same thing. I mean, and a lot of that goes back to Tim Murray basically overvaluing everybody, which, I mean, sure, everyone liked him at first because it was the anti-Darcy Regier, but at the same time, Murray had no clue what he was really doing when it came to that, because even though he could be a good scout, he had no clue how to manage a team properly.
No, he didn't, and that's the problem. I mean, Tim was – and it's very interesting about Tim specifically because he came from a division rival in Ottawa. Everybody thought that he was going to be this great GM and he was in the right direction, and it was so shady at the point that Pierre Maguire has been manipulated by the media multiple times now about how – like, do you see the comments he made about on TSN?
No, I didn't have a chance to take a look at that, but why don't you tell everybody about it?
I'm going to anyway. But anyway, to the point being is that Pierre Maguire was on TSN the other day, or 2 days ago, whatever it was, and he said it straight up in quote that don't sleep on the Buffalo Sabres. They're going to be good in a couple of years. And I said that in the back of my mind. I'm like thinking, Pierre, you said the same thing 4 years ago, and look where they are now.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so far, it hasn't happened.
No, it hasn't. And it's just a shit show as far as that I'm concerned of. I mean, what more can you ask for from a guy who basically just wants to run a team that got really shitted off for it? Because if you remember the time when Murray was GM, he purposely tanked for the season just to get either Conor McDavid or Jack Eichel.
Oh, yeah. It was very clear what was happening. I mean, it was the tank for Eichel and the tank for Conor McDavid. And we all knew that by tanking, we were going to be guaranteed either the first pick or the second pick.
And because of Buffalo tanking, they changed up the lottery rules.
Right. Which, thank God, we ended up getting the first pick and got Rasmus Dahlin, but still.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of the first overall pick, there's something I want to mention.
Yeah, go for it.
The mentioning is that I read this the other day on The Athletic. I forget his name, Corey something with an M, Marisis or something, or Marisnik. It doesn't matter. But anyway, he brings up a very interesting point while we're on the topic of Jack Eichel. And he was saying that if the Devils were to trade for Jack Eichel, they would have to either give up one of the two between either Nico Hischier or Jack Hughes.
That's an interesting choice.
Well,
and I would honestly, between the two, I would almost be in favor of Jack Hughes.
Probably. I mean, it's kind of ludicrous, really, when you think about it, because Jack is not going anywhere. We all know he's not leaving Buffalo anytime soon. Everybody knows. And that's the problem. Everybody knows he's not leaving because of his monster contract. Other than that, he would just be free to go for wherever he wants.
Exactly. So, I mean, and plus, of course, any team that wants Jack Eichel, they know that it would be a king's ransom to get him. So, I mean, I can't picture any team wanting to do that right now.
No. I mean, I saw speculation about the Leafs. I saw speculation about the Flyers. I mean, I don't know how accurate it is, but again, this is all just straight speculation. And the media is now confiscating this, and they're saying, Jack Eichel wants out. He wants to be traded. You know what I'm saying? He's basically saying, I'm willing to stay, but you got to give me the pieces that I want. And
right.
then he wants out. He's going to demand a trade.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is, Pickles, wake up and see what's going on around you. Get yourself a president of hockey operations that actually knows what the hell they're doing. And maybe you won't be in as bad shape as you are right now.
How about Terry just grows a pair and tells his wife, listen, Kim, I love you to death. You're my wife. You're my forever, my everything. But get off the Sabres. All right? You're really shitty at your job, and you're not going to get the team anywhere. I want success with this franchise. Oh, Kim, go in the yacht. I think I know what I'm doing. Hey, Kim, you're shit at your job. Yeah? Well, I know more than you dumbass.
I know. Unfortunately, it's going to take more than just probably that talk to get her out of there, but...
No. Somebody should just, I don't know, get a fucking sniper rifle and shoot her in the fucking head. Not that
I wouldn't advocate violence there, but no, they got to... they gotta make changes on that team. They seriously do. Especially with the leadership on that. They got to. But I was gonna say, Sean, I know we haven't really talked a lot of UFC and MMA on here before, so go for it. Let's throw some MMA in there.
I mean,
yeah, your name is Sean. You're the only guy in the chat.
Oh God. Well, I mean,
or we could throw wrestling.
I've been watching, and I said I was starting to transition to MMA. I haven't been watching it as much as recently, busy with my other job and whatnot. And gosh, I don't really have much to say about MMA at this time right now.
Well,
I really got to start watching it because consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm kind of in the same boat too. I gotta watch it a little bit more, and I've wanted to follow it more. I just haven't made the time to follow it more.
Well, hey, guess what? Fights are every Saturday, so you can mostly keep up with that. But I think one piece of news that's really stuck out to me that I really want to talk about, and I feel like everybody was just, shrugging this off like, oh, Dana White's just talking out of his ass. And the idea is is he's put out some pretty good fights lately, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, is Dana White has confirmed Fight Island. And if you're not sure where Fight Island is on a place called Yas Island in Abu Dhabi, which is in the Middle East.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where Fight Island is. And some of the fights that came out of this is just been absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they're all time changed, they're all changed differently. In fact, I have a bunch of notes about where exactly some of those fights are going to be at. So I got a whole bunch of shit right here for you guys. Luckily, I wrote this down because I was going to actually be prepared to write this on my podcast, but I said to you beforehand that I'm probably just going to get like guest interviews, but just tell you all the information I have on here. It's only easier for me, for everybody else. But anyway, so Fight Island is at Yas Island from July 11th, July 15th, July 18th, and July 25th. And we have the featherweight title on July 11th at UFC 231 between Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski II. Well, not the second, but it's the second fight between the two of them. That's coming up on July 11th. That's a month from now. Gilbert Burns, who just beat the shit out of Tyron Whitley recently for the welterweight title, is going to be fighting the Nigerian Nightmare Kamaru Usman at Fight Island on July 11th as one of the main events. And then you have Peter Yang versus Jose Aldo, who's one of the best bantamweight fighters of all time in the history of MMA. He's going in on July 11th. And then down the road, I actually picked up on a few of these, is August 1st, you have Holly Holm versus Irene Aldana for the main event. That's going to be a fight. I can't wait for that one. August 15th, and this one is the UFC Heavyweight Championship fight. And this is the trilogy. This is the final fight between the two of them to begin with. Is Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier 3. And it's between the two biggest heavyweight fighters in the world at that point. It's one of the biggest rivalries in the history of the UFC. And then and the last one, which I'm probably the most excited for, is September 19th, which is in Las Vegas, is the UFC Lightweight Championship fight between Justin Gaethje and Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's going to be fun. And the most interesting thing about Khabib is he's never lost a UFC fight since his high school days when he was doing pro wrestling.
Interesting.
Dude, if you ever watch Khabib fight, that guy can grapple. That dude is a legit beast. If you don't know about Khabib by now, that guy's a fucking monster. Go watch his highlights on YouTube. And here's a fun fact about the guy. A lot of the UFC fans out there will say, yeah, well, we already knew about that. But the newcomers, let me put it to you this way. You know what Khabib did when he was 6 years old while living in Dagestan?
No, what'd he do?
What would he do?
He fought grizzly bears at 6 years old.
What?
No joke.
What?
Yeah, that's a real thing. Look it up.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. Just type in Khabib, which is spelled Khabib versus bears. There's actually a shirt with Khabib with the Russian wig on, and he's fighting a bear, and it says Dagestan on it. It has the CCP symbol on the bottom of the shirt. It's red. I actually might get it. So if I end up getting it, I'll show you the picture or next time or whatever.
Wow.
Man, I gotta look this up.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, Habib's one of the best grapplers in the world. He was always into wrestling growing. I'm not the WWE, of course, but like he was more into grappling. He was more into, he doesn't have the fastest hands in the world. I mean, he can kick, he can punch or whatever, but they're not lightning fast. His best of mobility is getting on the ground. And once he's on top of you, and once you have him on the ground, you're fucked. That's what Habib Nurmagomedov does, and that's why he got the nickname the Eagle, because he'll just come down. Whoosh, come down and he'll just grab on with his hands on his opponent and put him in a chokehold, and then that was the end of it.
Wow.
Well, I pulled it up on my other screen here, and the sun.co.uk actually does have a story about it. So actually reading from the story here, it starts out by saying UFC lightweight Khabib Nurmagomedov returned to Russia recently, where he was reunited with his old wrestling pal, a brown Dagestani bear. So then, what it also says is that the 30-year-old used to grapple with the bear to test his character before he hit the big time. And then his father, Abdul Manap, was quoted as saying, firstly, a child always wants his father to see what his son is capable of. It is a pity that there was nothing more interesting when he was younger. In the end, this was a test of character more than exercise. So basically what happened now is that he's actually catching a lot of crap because the bear actually had like a chain leash around its neck when he ended up fighting the bear. And apparently there were actually people in attendance along with his coach Javier Mendez, who actually uploaded the video. And then they also showed another story about how he actually would run up the hill in his village to train. And so it is actually legit. I mean, they are showing him and the bear. Now, it's not a full-grown brown bear, but it's definitely one that could really make some damage on him if he weren't able to do what he's supposed to do.
Well, you have to remember, Habib was only 6 years old when he fought that grizzly bear. But you know what? It was a baby. It was just old enough at the time for him to get his claws out and some teeth. Obviously, they muzzled the bear when he was a kid. Because when you put up a grizzly bear with a 6-year-old, you would probably fear for the worst of your life. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and actually, one of the other things on top of that, kind of going into the Fight Island, I actually pulled it up on Google Maps.
Right.
And there is definitely I can definitely see some interesting things with it. So it's right outside of the city of Abu Dhabi. And with what they're showing on there is a lot of U.S. business actually in like a big ass mall over there. Well, besides Ferrari, they have a thing called Ferrari Island and Ferrari World. But then as I was looking at some of the stuff that they have over there, okay, let's see how many places we know. Texas Roadhouse, Texas to Brazil. They have, of course, Cheesecake Factory and a lot of other places that we have here in the States. So I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah, like Sean, what do you think of all this about Habib and learning about how he fought grizzly bears? I mean, he was in a huge dispute with Conor McGregor nearly 2 years ago, and I want to get to Conor McGregor in a little bit because there's.
I think I remember that. I remember that scene where Conor threw a garbage can at a bus and a glass broke or something like that.
No, it wasn't a garbage can. It was
he threw something. I forgot what it was.
It was a hand cart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because all this dispute happened because you know what it is. As the old saying goes in Ireland, is when one person goes to war, they all go to war, and that's an old Irish statement. Mostly that's specifically taken whether in the Northern Ireland in the Northern Ireland or in the Republican part of Ireland. They're in two separate countries, by the way. But one thing they all matter is that they bond for each other. I mean, that's why I'm always a retaliative person. But when you look at the situation, if you look more deep into it, there's been some speculation. Well, that's not really speculation. It really happened. Is that Habib got into a feud with one of Conor's trainers. I forget his name. It's not John Kavanagh because John Kavanagh is Conor's trainer. It's one of them, I said, because Conor's got a fucking posse. So anyway, he comes out and Habib puts his hand on the trainer's neck like this, like he's ready to bust his head, like go for a headbutt like that. But he said something to him. I forget exactly what it was. And Conor didn't take this very lightly. And so it got to the point where it's like, I'm going to fly to Russia and kick your ass. And that's basically, and this whole feud is basically off of pride. And Conor got very upset about it, and Khabib was just like, you know what? I would gladly like to fight Conor because, you know, Conor's a hothead. I love Conor and I love Khabib. These are like my two favorite fighters in the world. But these two guys are relentless. I mean, Conor, you can look from the perspective of the fight that he was just scared to lose to him. Because if all the trash talk that he was doing in that press conference, if you've seen it, which I don't know if you have, if you look at the press conference, it was more like a WWE promotion for Conor's end. Khabib was just like, you know, I'm not going to say what Conor's saying for the kids. He's trying to be a role model for them. And then he's just like, you know what? I'm going to take my featherweight title. I'm just going to hold it up. And Conor's, you know, his ego is above others. And the thing I have an issue with is Conor thinks he's above the law. He's above everybody else because of all the power he has. And the UFC, you know, overhyped him like as if he was their equivalent of like Sidney Crosby or Conor McDavid or even in wrestling, something like Ronda Rousey or even something like that. Right? The most popular guy I would think of in the WWE is Roman Reigns. Something like that. Like imagine that, but above the law, thinking that everybody's better than him. And Dana White spilled the beans recently about his retirement because I think Conor's full of shit again because the way he handles his retirements lately has just been one thing over the next. And Dana White spilled the beans saying this. Conor had the opportunity to slide into that spot at UFC 29 if either Khabib or Tony Ferguson fell out. He came back and he said, I'm not a replacement fighter. I'm not going to do it. He would be in that position right now if he took the fight. He didn't. Gaethje did, so we gave it to Justin Gaethje until he gets it. And this is when Dana White offered Conor McGregor the opportunity to step in at UFC 249, which is coming up pretty, you know, quickly.
Right. Yeah. I mean, McGregor's pulled it before. He's pulled the retirement thing before, so I mean, it doesn't surprise me really.
No, I mean, McGregor's probably going to come back, and then he's going to retire in a couple of years. It's the same shit all over again. I mean, for one, I love Conor, but I think he's getting way above it. Like he wants, you know, the vault. He wants the company. He wants everything that the UFC represents. And to tell you the truth, Conor McGregor has said a few interesting things throughout his career. One being that if it weren't for him to be this promotional, because none of the other fighters could be like Conor. And they tried to be Conor, but they can't be Conor, if you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Like they can't do what Conor's doing. And that's a big part.
Yep, definitely.
For the most part.
Yeah, and then I was gonna say, Sean, anything that you've seen on the WWE recently? Because I know you like to definitely follow wrestling and some of the different promotions out there.
Oh, I mean, nothing big really. Just a pay-per-view coming up tomorrow, called Backlash. You know, just I don't know, I might see. I mean, there are a couple matches I might see here and there, but I mean, I just been really disinterested in wrestling in the last few years, man, because of I don't know. I just feel like I feel like it's boring to me now. You know,
yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you because, like, I will tell you, as a teenager, I absolutely loved watching WWE.
Oh yeah.
Back in the mid '90s, you had the Attitude Era, you had the Ruthless Aggression Era, you had of course your main guys. You had Mick Foley, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I mean, you had them, the three of them, and then of course you had Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. I mean, also known as Paul Levesque, who is basically up in the corporate role now with WWE, along with his wife Stephanie McMahon. But at the same time, I mean, back then, the content was great. I mean, it was different. I mean, it was TV 14 versus TV PG now. I mean, the stockholders basically screwed all the creativity that they have now because they're like, when Linda McMahon was running for Congress, it's like, oh, we need to become a family-friendly show. We can't keep our ratings where they were when they were great because we're going to lose all these people and I'm going to lose my spot in Congress. Well, okay, so you just tanked all the money for everybody that was investing in your product.
Yeah, and look at the viewership these days. Less than 2 million. Less than 2 million. Are you kidding me?
I'd rather watch like AEW or something different, or even back in the old days when ECW was on. I would love watching that late at night because they didn't give a crap what they were doing.
Yeah, but honestly, man, I'm not really into AEW as much, honestly. But at this point, I'd rather watch that right now because at least they're starting to do something right.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, just to give an idea, Bobby, I know you don't follow WWE that much, but to give you an idea of some of the stuff that they would pull way back when, I mean, let's see, ladder matches, scaffold matches, boiler room brawl.
Well, my
Yeah.
huge wrestling back in the day, so
Yeah.
I what it was about. Like, Hell in a Cell, the first cage matches, Money in the Bank.
Hell in a Cell was a
Yep.
big one. Yep, I remember Mankind getting thrown off the cell and then he fell
Oh,
through the
man.
cell.
One thing
Still the greatest Hell in a Cell match ever.
Yeah, like put it this way, like I don't give a shit about the WWE today because there's nothing.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, same.
If we're going back to the early 2000s, late 90s, because that's where my neighbors, again, that live across the street from me, were huge wrestling fans.
Mhm.
I mean, they're not as much anymore, but back in the day, they were big Undertaker fans. They were big Kane fans. Me specifically, I was a Kane fan. I wasn't crazy about him, but I thought it was cool. But Undertaker, Kane, the Boogeyman, I remember when he first came out, when he used to just climb off onto the stage, like down that aisle. And I remember like watching one clip where the whole arena, no matter where it is, gets dark, and then you hear in the background me like, "I'm the Boogeyman. I'm coming to get you."
Yeah, I remember that.
You see this creepy, slow-looking dude with red face mask on his face with some like whatever on it, and his wacky haircut, and he's got the clock in his mouth, eating the worms. Like that was just disgusting. And I remember,
gosh.
Oh yeah.
I remember watching that match. I forgot who he fought, but like, it was just very different for me back in the day. I was also a big fan of Kurt Angle, and then like this is where he was going to retire, and then Goldberg, and then Steve Austin, Stone Cold, whatever. Rock, when he was out of wrestling for a little while. So I kind of know a thing or two about the early 2000s, but I don't really give a shit about it. I mean, I knew some of the 90s names like Jake the Snake Roberts. That's another guy that I grew up with. Mankind, that was another one I grew up with.
Yeah.
I know 90s wrestlers because that was the Attitude Era. But like, looking nowadays, I can name at least like 3 people that are in the WWE, like Becky Lynch, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, whatever, that guy with the dinosaur makeup on the NXT. I mean, that maybe there's a reason why whoever made that company was just so sick of their shit. They're just like, I'm gonna go make my own wrestling company, and I'm gonna get my own wrestlers and make my own version of Bellator. I'm gonna make my own version of the XFL, but making wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because with AEW, I mean, that's Tony Khan who ended up coming out with that, and I think he's related to Shad Khan, who's part of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I mean, he's been getting WWE talent left and right that have been coming off of contracts, or people have been getting fired by WWE. And I think the biggest problem right now is that WWE has no creative direction whatsoever. They can't write a storyline to save their life. They don't know how to utilize their characters. They're using characters in the wrong way. I mean, Shinsuke Nakamura is a perfect example of how they screwed his development up. Then you look at the Shield, of course, with Seth Rollins, you had Roman Reigns, and then, of course, the other that they had in there,
Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, he left. He left the company. Now he's with AEW, and he's under his old stage name now. And I mean, and anyone who's ever watched Ambrose, especially when he was known as John Moxley back in the day, and he was actually fighting with Combat Zone Wrestling.
I've seen one of his matches. I'm like,
it is insane.
Oh gosh. It was like for me, that was way more extreme than ECW back in the day.
ECW wasn't close to as extreme as Combat Zone Wrestling.
Nah.
I mean, ECW did some nasty stuff, but CZW, oh my God.
Nowhere near what CZW did.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, in fact, actually, one perfect example I can give you is CZW. Did you ever see that match with Thumbtack Jack when they ended up using the Novocaine needles and it went through his cheek?
I saw a clip of that. Oh man.
My God, that was like one of the most.
I'm literally thinking that right now.
It was probably like one of the most violent matches I've ever seen. But then they had the one where Thumbtack Jack actually took the weed whacker to his chest too, and he got like hit with like the wire and all that stuff. I'm like, oh my God! Oh. It's like he's lucky he didn't freaking kill him.
For real, man. What in the world?
But yeah. But like something like that, like even just kind of like circling back to what WWE is doing now, like CZW, they didn't give a crap that they were extreme, but you know what? They had their storyline, and they made it seem like so realistic, like these people are gonna beat the living hell out of each other, which they always did. But the storylines were actually good. I mean, and WWE lost their way with the storylines, and they wonder why nobody gives a crap about them anymore in terms of watching. I mean, I used to watch it all the time. I don't even bother with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
and I just don't bother now.
yeah. I mean, it's just honestly the way WWE is the way they're going these days. It's just match after match after match. No storyline, no psychology, none of that stuff. It's like they're going the indie route. That's how I've been looking at that, because I've seen because everything the WWE are doing now are exactly the same as what the indies have done over the years, whether it was Ring of Honor or MLW or whatever promotion.
Right, Ohio Valley, maybe. I mean,
it's the same thing, man. It's just it's boring.
It is.
That's what it is. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, even another example of like a crazy storyline I can give you. Remember back, I think it was like early 2000s or like 2001, 2002, somewhere in there. Remember when Mark Henry was in the WWE for a while, and then remember the storyline that they gave him the sexual chocolate theme, and then they had that going for a while, and then he made Mae Young pregnant at like the age of like 9,500 or something.
Oh gosh!
Like, I mean, that was like that was like a screwed up storyline, but it was so funny because of what was involved.
That was entertainment.
It was
exactly what's missing.
Right, it was. I mean, even though it was like absolutely like so far out there, I mean, it actually got you to watch.
Yeah.
And then even when Steve Austin and McMahon, of course, they hated each other as part of their storyline. Remember the time when Austin went into McMahon's hospital room and he started beating the living shit out of him, and then he's like,
McMahon.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's a good storyline, and that's the thing, because they had the Monday Night Wars back then. They had the competition. Yeah. They had to one up WCW. Then of course they bought WCW and ECW, and then of course they were allowed to suck afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why because, like, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but is there a rumor going around about how Raw is like having competent writers for their storylines for all that shit? I mean, I know nothing about wrestling, but I'm gonna need you to fill me on that.
Honestly, right now, from what I've heard,
you retweeted it on Twitter.
Like creatively, you have you heard of any of you guys heard of Bruce Pritchard?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
Yeah, basically he's took over both Raw and SmackDown. I think he took Raw from Paul Heyman, who's now going back as an on-screen character.
Oh,
and I don't know, man.
Yeah.
And I've been following. I actually follow Vince Russo on Twitter, and he said like months ago that something like this was going to happen, and he was right.
Mm-hmm. And Vince Russo wrote some really good storylines back when he was around.
Oh yeah,
in those years,
the best.
Yeah, did some really good storylines. I mean, and then actually one of the things that still stands out to me was Over the Edge 1999, and that's when I actually was watching that pay-per-view. Of course, Owen Hart fell to his death from the ceiling at the Kemper Arena, Kansas City, Missouri. But even with that whole pay-per-view as a whole, the storylines and everything that built up to that, I mean, it's so much better now than what you see now. Now,
way better.
Yeah, I mean, one of my friends that I know who does a podcast, a Joe Cronin show, and I've gone on there before as, under an alias and a character and all that. I mean, and a lot of the reviews he does are spot on, because and I do enjoy listening to some of his reviews on the storylines and what's going on. And it's just, I mean, it's gotten to the point where literally, I mean, there's nothing good to say about Raw, really. I mean, usually the average rating that someone will give it is maybe like anywhere between like a 2 and 4 out of 10. I mean, it's not even worth watching.
It really isn't. That's why honestly I just watch highlights of it on YouTube whenever they upload them because
yeah, that's why I love. That's why I pretty much little to know nothing about wrestling. That's why I'm an MMA guy, a UFC guy, because that was something in my blood. I'm a fifth degree black belt that I've had for 15 to 18 years, and then I'm watching guys like Forrest Griffin, Chuck Liddell, Chael Sonnen, Tito Ortiz, all these guys growing up. These are some of the best UFC fighters of all time, and here we are, talking about, the tides are turning between the WWE, where everybody wanted to get the entertainment, from my understanding, is, they want to get the entertainment from the WWE, but they keep fucking it over, and they're just like, we're just going to push the tides now to make money and make it more kid-friendly. Because I think when you look at it, how many times are you going to look at John Cena's face all the time? How many times are you going to look at Roman Reigns? How many times, am I saying that name right, Roman Reigns, or is it Reigns?
Roman Reigns.
Okay, fair enough. Like Becky Lynch, like how many more times are you going to see an old-ass Undertaker at 60-something years old go back into the ring? Like how many more?
Or even Charlotte Flair,
exactly,
who went back to NXT, who's now coming back. I mean, Charlotte Flair, how many times are you going to see her win the women's title? I mean, she's already had it like 8 times already.
Yeah, like I wouldn't know anything about those kind of things. I mean, I just, like I said, I grew up in the Attitude Era, but I mean, I was never the biggest wrestling fan in the world. I mean, I know a thing or two about the 90s Attitude Era, but when you look at me now, I'm just like so completely dumbfounded by the fact that so much incompetence is going into a fake professional league.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and really the biggest thing is that they still don't understand. It's like the writing and the creativity that they had back in the 90s is what got them to where they were. Now, I mean, the fact is they've lost their way. I mean, they don't know how to develop a character now. They don't know how to do any of that stuff. Now, the technical wrestling might be a little bit better. I mean, like some of the stuff that they can do, but the overall story, but what does that matter if you have no storyline? Exactly.
It's not enough. And they're not doing themselves doing themselves any favors because they are catering to a niche audience, that the same niche audience that watch every week, and that's why they keep getting these same low ratings, these same low viewerships. They're not doing anything to bring back the casual fans. And to me, and honestly, that in my opinion, the casual fan is your meat. That is your meat and potatoes. Without that, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, Attitude Era, I mean, you could be a casual fan and then you'd be having them hooked within like probably about 2 hours of an episode. I mean, just all the crazy things that they did back then. I mean, I still remember when Rock threw Austin off a bridge into a river in Maryland in one episode, or when Austin ended up lifting up Triple H's car and dropped it from the top of a freaking crane.
Man.
And then I remember you could hear him yelling like, "Oh shit!" And he was like, and they were jumping him. And then, of course, Beth McMahon. Remember the storyline with Undertaker and Austin way back during that era, and remember how serious it got to when Undertaker said he was going to bury him alive, but then he said that, "Oh, I've got something better planned," and then of course in his voice, and Paul Bearer, I love that character way back. He was great. I mean, he could tell you so many good stories, and I mean, of course, he talked about the story of Kane and how he was in the fire and everything, and he talked about how. And then when Undertaker came out, he's like, tell him the truth.
Right.
I remember that, but the real story, the storyline with Undertaker and Austin back then was Undertaker and his voice is like, gonna embalm him alive. And
I remember that one. Oh man.
Oh my God, that literally, like, for 2 hours that night, like that whole thing, you're wondering, what the hell's gonna happen? It's like, is he actually gonna kill him? And then you see that big ass embalming needle.
I'm like, whoa, man.
I'm like, oh God.
Gosh, he's really gonna kill him.
Yeah, that's seriously what I thought. I remember when Val Venus was around, and then that Japanese guy was gonna chop off his junk because he messed around with his sister. Man. And then they actually showed it go black, like the screen, like the end of The Sopranos.
Oh.
Oh God!
Man.
But those are storylines that are going to hook people.
Yeah.
It's like the crap that they have now is not going to hook anybody.
They don't have anything. That's the problem.
Right. I mean,
They have nothing.
Yeah, and at least UFC and some of the other leagues, like even like Bellator when they were around and so forth, I mean, at least they've got some build-up. At least there's something going on.
Bellator is actually still around, but it's like Bellator is the equivalent of NXT or the AHL of the MMA and the UFC. But you know what it is, though? Bellator doesn't make the money like the UFC does. Okay, the UFC is like up here in terms of money. Like, when you look at,
it's like sky high.
like they're surpassing the WWE. They're surpassing boxing. Boxing is on its last dying breath. Why do you think they made the fight a few years ago between Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather?
Well, yeah, they had to get people in.
Because
Conor McGregor was the draw.
But the thing was going into, and I remember watching that fight, and I remember McGregor had no boxing experience leading up to that because, obviously he was a UFC fighter. He was one of the best featherweight fighters in the world. If he won the division and he won the UFC belt in 2 different divisions. So and there are fighters that could do that. Like Amanda Nunes just recently won the what's the word? I think it was not the featherweight. It was
Bantamweight.
No, yes, bantamweight. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. Yeah. So she won it in 3 different divisions, so she can pick up any fighter she wants. Like she's on, like that's something that Daniel Cormier or Conor McGregor have never done in their careers. But the point being is, like, when you look at the WWE from 10 years ago, like remember all the hype when the UFC first started coming out before Conor McGregor. During all that time, they used to bring in all of these, bum-ass WWE fighters like Brock Lesnar and CM Punk. And then after like 1 or 2 fights, they were both flops because of the reputation of the WWE. And they thought, oh yeah, I could take what I had in the WWE to the UFC. And next thing you know, boom, he got their asses kicked. Brock Lesnar probably had a better shot at surviving the UFC than CM Punk.
Yeah, because at least he was champion in the UFC.
Right.
Yeah, but Punk has never won a fight in the UFC, and that's why you haven't heard shit from him. That's why he's back in the WWE. Ronda Rousey is another story, man. Ronda Rousey, I gotta say, is one of the whiniest bitches you will ever see as far as, a professional fighter or a professional wrestler. And it was right after she lost to Holly Holm. She started to act like, oh, I'm going to retire now. And I think like 6 months later or 3 months later, she quits the UFC to go to the WWE. And now she's like, oh, making all the money in the world. What's her story now? I haven't heard from her in a while.
Well, I think she's pregnant now, if I remember right, because I know she's taking a leap from the WWE at this point.
Ronda Rousey is pregnant?
I thought I heard something about it. Let me find out real quick.
Oh yeah, gee, thanks.
She's got her own YouTube channel. She's streaming. She's doing live stream gaming on Facebook Gaming.
Yeah, she was back in the day. And you know what's really interesting too is that what I was going to bring up before about the UFC is that I feel more casual wrestling fans comparing to all your complaints about the modern era, how they're making it more kid-friendly, and they have no storyline for any of these wrestlers or whatever. I feel like the audience for the casual fan is going away from the WWE, but they're leaning more towards the UFC because the UFC treats their fighters a bit somewhat poorly because Dana White, as rich as hell as he is, he's not going to pay a fighter more than he would want. Like, that's why Jorge Masvidal is requesting a release of his contract from the UFC because the UFC won't be sucking his balls and giving him more money than he expectedly want from out of an average fight. Same thing with Conor McGregor. McGregor's a different story because McGregor has been talking about, like, oh, there's no real competition out there. Meanwhile, 5 of the best featherweight fighters in the world are right in front of your lap. You have Khabib Nurmagomedov. You have Justin Gaethje. You have not Tyron Woodley. Yeah, there's a lot of fighters out there, but the main guys, stuff like Max Holloway. Max Holloway would have been a great one. Just to kind of give you an idea. So, like, Conor had all those choices in front of him, and then he's just like, oh, I'm just going to retire. And I'm like, dude, you have so many options in front of you. You're still in your prime. I wouldn't even be shocked if he came back in less than a month or 2 from now. And Dana White's going to lick off his Irish balls, and he's going to say, give me my fights. Give me my fights, you fucking baldy. He's going to do it. Trust me. Conor's rich enough. I could just go on wino.com right now, and I could be like, I'm going to take 1 order of proper 12 and then have it get it delivered to my door. But yeah, some of these fighters are thinking they are so entitled that they think they have full power, and once they don't get what they want, they whine and bitch about it. Ronda Rousey did it. Jorge Masvidal is doing it right now. Conor McGregor has been doing it for a little while. In fact, he's done it 3 times now. So I'm not surprised he pulled it off. But I love the guy. I love how he fights. I love his character. I mean, there's much you can hate about Conor all you want, but at the end of the day, he's one of the best featherweight fighters of all time.
Right.
He's definitely hands down among them. I think you two, honestly, back in the 90s when the UFC had nothing going for them, I think you two would have really loved the trash talk between Chael Sonnen, Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, and all these other guys like Ken Shamrock and all those people. I think those guys were really into it. Like Royce Gracie, these are all legendary fighters in the mixed martial arts industry. And I think because they were more of the babbling when they really went at it in the press conferences, and they were talking all kinds of shit because there's a lot of drama that goes outside of the octagon. And then once they took it out in a fight, things get pretty bad. Like, did any of you see the Khabib McGregor fight that happened nearly 2 ago?
No, I didn't take a look at that.
Okay, so if you go and watch it on YouTube, I'll tell you what happened. So I told you earlier that how Khabib had his arm around McGregor's trainer, how he's trying to get him, and Conor attacked the bus. It was Khabib and a few other fighters that were inside that bus. I mean, I forget who was in it. I think I'm trying to remember his name. Yeah, there was a bunch of people in there. So my point is that McGregor attacked the bus, and then it just got pretty shitty afterwards. And then Conor wanted to kill Khabib at the press conference. And then after Khabib choked him out in the second or third round of the fight, I think it was the second round, and then right afterwards, a brawl broke out in the middle of the fight after Khabib tapped out Conor, and he went over the octagon cage and attacked the trainer, and then everybody just kind of scrambled in and beat the shit out of each other. Like, one trainer from Khabib's side went after Conor, another trainer from Conor's side went after Khabib. It was just a big shit show. And then I think right afterwards, Khabib was suspended for 9 months for violating the UFC's policy of, creating an act like that. And then Conor was like 6 months, I think. So really, the fighters, when you look at it, Dana White wants the money. Yes, he'll do everything in his power to promote, and that's one thing he's very good at. I think that's one thing Dana White has over Vince McMahon is he won't pay the high profit fights. Like, you will never see like a Tony Ferguson Conor McGregor fight because Dana doesn't want to pay all the fighters in the world all that money, but rather he'll set up like a main event, like something like, I don't know, Irene Aldana and Holly Holm, which is coming up in August, stuff like that. It's more of just like pay-per-view kind of things. But it also depends who's fighting, because there are some really good fighters that are not in the big name category.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I was gonna say, for anyone that's just joining us too, actually I sent this to our group chat, but Atlanta's on freaking fire right now.
Oh boy.
Yeah, there's more crap going on. And actually, I'm just seeing this out of Atlanta right now. But there was someone that was shot in a Wendy's restaurant, and it's on fire, and it's bad.
Now, was there a story behind this? Is there a reason why they're rioting again?
It's another thing kind of similar to Minneapolis, supposedly.
Let me guess. It's another white guy shooting a black guy, right? Is that the narrative?
Yeah.
Of course it is.
It just broke out again.
Jesus Christ. This whole thing has got to stop.
Seriously.
For real, man.
I mean, I know we talked about it last week too, and Sean, I know you had some great words last week on that, and it just sucks to see all that happening again. It really does. Hey guys, don't, like we said last week, if totally okay to get your point across, don't blow up stuff, don't hurt people, nothing.
For real, man.
I mean, seriously.
You're only making things worse. And
exactly.
I'm on Twitter right now, and hashtag Atlanta protest is trending right now.
Of course they are.
Yeah, and I-85 is all blocked off too, and it's freaking sad to see all this stuff happening. What happened to people treating everyone like they want to be treated and everything? It's just. It's nuts. It really is. And just to see that again, I know it hits home for you because that's your neck of the woods down there, and I mean, you're down in Atlanta, and just to see that,
I don't. I'm looking at a few clips here, and they
yeah,
shut down. They shut down the daggone interstate.
yeah, yeah, and I have some friends of mine, in addition to you. I mean, I've got some other friends down in Atlanta, like North Springs area, Sandy Springs, all that, and all I gotta say is this crap's got to stop.
It really needs to stop, man.
It needs to stop.
Yeah.
So if anyone's watching from down there, just be careful, guys. Don't get involved in that stuff. With blowing up stuff or whatever. You're taking someone's livelihood away. I mean, you never know. It could be your neighbor's business. It could be some. They have a family. They got. We all work. We all support our families. All that stuff, and just seeing that.
Sure, man.
It doesn't matter what race someone is. We're all the same, and
exactly
taking someone's livelihood away for what? I mean, it's just getting that's just getting to the point now. I mean, all that stuff's just starting to bother me a lot more and more, and just seeing people do that to each other, it's just, it's nuts.
Yeah,
I mean, it's gotta stop.
It's not going to be getting any better anytime soon. And unfortunately, that's the sad truth, is that people are looking for a thing to beg about. And when they get the attention they want, it creates chaos. You ever see The Dark Knight? Remember the interrogation scene in The Dark Knight?
Yep.
It was after the Joker, and when he was asking about Harvey Dent and Rachel Dawes about where they were hiding, and they were in the warehouses. The Joker said something in the movie. I forget exactly the word behind it. He's like, these civilized beings are going to attack each other, and you'll see the world, fall into chaos. And here we are. He's right. This was during, the coronavirus, Black Lives Matter movement, everything about that. I mean, I don't want to get off topic here, but I feel like Sean can disagree with me, Tom can disagree with me. I don't really care. I really feel like this whole Black Lives Matter thing is not really about saving black lives. It's to be a leftist and political agenda. That's what I feel is happening here, is they're using it as an excuse to go out and hurt people. That's what I think. And it's not even towards black people. It's white people too. They're both scums of the earth.
I mean, I wouldn't dismiss that at all, because you see all the clips around all these riots going on, and honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards that conclusion myself.
Yeah, even when I look at what happened in Seattle now with the occupation zone, that whole thing happened, and then here's what got me is that when I saw that happen this week, and then there was a story, black female that was just trying to exercise her right to speak her mind, and she was talking about how it's hurting them as a whole, that this whole riot's going on. I mean, she's got business, all that stuff. She's doing everything she can to support her family. God bless her for that. And she was kicked out of her own area by the rioters because she had an opinion that was different than the rioters.
Oh my God.
I'm like, and then hearing them supporting businesses and stuff, and then here's, I mean, oh my God. I mean, here you are. I mean, and I understand the movement. Yeah, everybody matters. Everybody, there has to be some better awareness on things. And yes, I mean, and it sucks that, things are where they are right now. But for someone to speak out an opinion different than the protesters, to be kicked out of their own area and their own home because of the freaking protesters, because her opinion's different. I mean, hey, I was gonna say, we all have the freedom of speech. We all have the right to our opinion. We all have a right to disagree and or agree. And for someone that they're supposed to be helping with the movement to be dismissed from the movement because their opinion didn't match it, what the hell's the movement for?
That's the society we live in, man. No one can have an opinion anymore without someone getting mad at them, threatening them, all that crap.
I know. And then the whole thing too, I mean, it's like, now with people having an opinion, and it's like, okay, you're going to cancel Live PD, you're going to cancel Cops after 32 years, you're going to cancel freaking Paw Patrol, a cartoon, just because there's
Oh
a police
God,
puppy out.
that. I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
oh, are you?
I'm like, seriously? Like, how?
Do you know how
Like,
petty that is?
what the hell? I know.
Gosh, a kid's show?
A kid show,
For real?
why? I mean, and typically, and I've watched, well, and my niece and nephew love watching that. They're at the age where they'll watch that and enjoy it. But I mean, I've watched things like Cops and Live PD before, and I think that, 99% of the time it'll show, okay, these are, the cops are doing an okay job. I mean, yeah, you have the 1% that's going to be a total asshole like the cop in Minneapolis was. But
You think New York is in a fucking shithole right now, specifically with
oh yeah,
how. Yeah, did you ever hear what's been going on in New York City lately with the NYPD?
oh yeah, how all of them are going to walk because of De Blasio being an idiot.
No, not that. I mean, two things. One, Bill de Blasio declares himself as the best mayor in all of New York. If not,
That's not true.
yeah, he
Oh,
said that.
I don't think that is.
Come on.
You're so full of shit. And the other thing I want to say too is the NYPD is also, and de Blasio himself is even saying we're going to ban the chokehold. The chokehold technique on the police officers.
I mean, I understand, some stuff on that. I mean, you got to use discretion, obviously, if someone's going to be doing something. I mean, if it's something where if it immediately stops the situation, okay, that's one thing. But to do it for almost 9 minutes on what happened in Minnesota after, I mean, it was obvious that he couldn't breathe. That's too much.
Yeah. What do you call it? So here's what the council is also considering, and a slew of other bills aimed at increasing the oversight of the department. And they're talking about the NYPD over here, by the way. This is the including measures. It requires that officers to display their ranks and their badge numbers, create a centralized system to better track and retain problematic officers, and codify the public's right to record law enforcement actions. And this is all in NYPD.
Right. Well, I was gonna say, I mean, Supreme Court already gave everyone the freedom to videotape the cops, so I mean, that's nothing new. Although although some cops don't like it, but we all have the right to record, what's going on within like.
You know why cops are afraid to be recorded? Because they know they can get away with murder. And when they get exposed, they whine and bitch about it.
Right.
You see the rant about that one cop that went across, went nuts about everybody in NYPD or whatever?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, the NYPD, the head chief over there, I forget his name, Mike something. And he looks like a wife abuser Italian. But anyway, so he goes out and he's like, we need to stop being treated like animals. All right? We deserve some respect. No, buddy. You don't deserve respect.
Right.
You don't deserve it. You fucking earn
it. You know nothing about respect. You forgot what it meant.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when you willingly go in and then it's like you're gonna kill somebody, and then your fellow cops are not gonna stop you from doing what you did.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Like you want us to stop labeling you like that. Give us a good reason not to. Until then.
Exactly.
At least be reasonable.
Right.
Don't put them in a
Yeah.
I think the reason why, and if you're looking at it from a perspective of both sides, I always tell this to people: don't look at it from a black and white perspective. In every situation, there's always a little gray. So in this situation, it depends who you are. Whether if you're white or black, or you can even be cinnamon for all I care. And if you get arrested by the cops because you know you did something wrong, shut the fuck up, take the arrest, and suck it up. Go to the police station, do what you have to do,
get it over with. Bailed out, go to court, do your time, whatever.
Yeah.
Bail out, bond out, doesn't matter. But regardless of the situation, people are really looking at the situation of one or two things. The people that are rioting right now, I am willing to bet you half of them were been arrested by police officers before and are just looking to get revenge on the cops, even though that, it's even affecting other people's lives. And it's so bad that Minneapolis is abandoning or dismantling the police officers in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, they already said they're defunding it. And then apparently a lot of the truck drivers came out today and they said, well, guess what? We're not delivering anywhere that there's no cops now. So now it's like, good luck getting any supplies or anything you need.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see how long they can go without police. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, in some places, I mean, I've traveled quite a bit, and I mean, and I've been through Atlanta before, great city. I mean, and I actually do want to go back down there again at some point. I've been to Minneapolis before. I've traveled through there. I've gone through Chicago. I've been on the freaking south side of Chicago at like 2:30 in the morning. And it's like, you want to talk about spot that you don't necessarily, where you're going to have higher crime, of course, it's there. I mean, I've been to other cities, Dallas, Texas. I've been to Nashville, obviously. I have family that lives there. I've been to Tampa, Florida. I've been to Vegas. I still remember one time when I was a teenager, I was in Vegas, and there was like a triple homicide only about 16 blocks away from where I was. And one of them was a 2-year-old. And I still remember that story from back then. And you know, and that's like one of those things where, you know, people got to wake up. You know, we got to stop treating people, you know, in a bad way. And it's like one of those things. I mean, the vast majority of everyone is good to everybody. And, you know, but it's like that 1 or 2% of people that screwed up for everybody.
Yep.
Absolutely. Like, I find this so confiscating, the fact that people are dying. I mean, yeah, people are dying, people are losing their lives, and people are losing their businesses over because some asswipe cop decided to go on a chokehold, putting his knee on the ground to an innocent black man who did nothing wrong, and just decides to fucking murder him. It doesn't make any justice whatsoever. If you want to bring justice to the world, at least bring some peace out. Don't go out rioting like a fucking animal. You know what? All right, I'm not speaking for anything. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, if you don't agree with this, you're a racist. No, fuck you. All right, if you want to do that to me, I'll just tell you straight up, get the fuck out. I am not a racist, and I'm not putting up with your shit. As far as I'm concerned, if somebody attacked another, if a white guy was attacking another black man, I would no doubt go out and beat the shit out of that guy, and I'd be like, hey, are you okay? Whatever, like a normal fucking human being.
Yeah.
It's just cop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, and even with where I work, I mean, there's been times where, you know, I'll sit down and actually, you know, a little background on me is that I would say out of all of the people that I work with, in terms of people I've recruited and people that I manage on a day-to-day basis, I would have to say it's probably about 60% black, 25% white, and the rest is whoever else. But I would have to say, some of the best people that are working for me right now are black. Some of the absolute best people that are working with me right now. And it's one of those things where, I mean, I have many of them in very good positions, you know, skilled positions, things that it takes a lot of time to understand, you know, like precision machinery, welding positions. You can make like $20 an hour easily with that, you know, get like good 40, 45K a year. You know, some of the absolute best people that truly love their family and want to support their family and want to do everything possible and take that next step forward are black. And you know what? I've gotten to know some really good people with that, and just being able to talk with them like on a one-on-one level now, know them a little bit more personally and things like that. And there's been times I've given people a ride to and from work. I mean, hey, I'll do it if you need it. You know, I've got no problem with that. And then same thing, they know if you got a problem, talk to me, you know, and I'll work around whatever and I'll make it right. You know, things like that. It's one of those, you know, when you get like people that can come together and really work together for the common good, that's exactly what should happen. It shouldn't be like this crap in Minneapolis that we've seen where, I mean, 4 cops decided to be total morons and do what they did. I mean, it's just, you know, what happened to the decency of everybody, you know? And then especially this whole Capitol Hill autonomous zone. Oh my God, it's like that's a whole nother story. And I think part of it now is to fulfill an agenda, and I think that the media is making it way worse now.
Yeah, I hear you. Oh, okay. So I want to get off the political thing for a little bit because there is some.
Yeah, we did a
Yes,
little in on
please.
that.
Let's move on to something else.
Let's go to something different.
One thing I want to talk about, and I've been really holding my tongue for a little while about it, is 2 things. Well, actually 3, but let's go with the small part first. And there's something really interesting that came out from Colin Cowherd from ESPN. Even though I don't watch that dope, everyone has been sharing the list or whatever. And another stat came from the Herd Live, you know, the Herd show, Colin Cowherd.
Yeah.
There were 2 things pointed out. the highest continuity percentage of 2019 snaps returning. And there was a top 5 list of teams on there. At number 5 with 82.4% was the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 4 with 82.6% was the San Francisco 49ers. And number 3 at 82.7 was the Indianapolis Colts. And then at number 2 was 87.7% was the Kansas City Chiefs. And then at number 1 was the Buffalo Bills at 88%.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Interesting numbers there.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And this is all on Colin Cowherd. And this was another thing he also brought up. Colin Cowherd's most talented quarterbacks. Keep this in mind. Not the best quarterback in the league, most talented. So everybody is talented on their own different perspective. So just keep this list in mind. Number 10, Sam Darnold. Number 9, Kyler Murray. Number 8, Josh Allen. Number 7, Cam Newton. Number 6, Deshaun Watson. Number 5, Lamar Jackson. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers. Number 3, Russell Wilson. Number 2, Carson Wentz. And number 1, Patrick Mahomes.
Well, we know Mahomes definitely has talent because he just won a Super Bowl, and he's been awesome ever since he came into the league. But I have to say, I mean, I love what Lamar Jackson's done with the Ravens. Totally love what he's done because he took an offense that really needed that to go that next level, and he really took it like 5 notches forward. I mean, Joe Flacco, for a fact, was no longer a good fit with the Ravens and what they were trying to do. And in fact, I mean, Flacco is not even – I mean, I'm still surprised he even ended up getting to the point where he was. I mean, let's look back when Flacco first came in the league. It was Trent Dilfer, of all people, that got the ring. It wasn't Flacco. It was Dilfer. And yet, I mean, eventually Flacco went forward, but still, I mean, you win a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer, of all people. I mean, I still don't. I mean, I understand Baltimore had enough at the time, but I mean, Flacco was probably one of the most overrated QBs I've ever seen. Then, I mean, you look at Josh Allen, and I mean, and I really think he's got a great ceiling ahead of him. I mean, he really does. I mean, I think he's going to do some great things. Now he's got some additional weapons, especially in the backfield, and of course with the line, everything is good. So I could totally see him doing great things there. And then I would say in a lot of ways, probably one of the biggest busts that should have never been a bust is Robert Griffin III, because he had so much damn talent, and I think he still does. But the way that Shanahan destroyed his career, that's unforgivable in that sense.
I agree with you 100%. But are we just going to ignore the fact that Carson Wentz is above Russell Wilson, Josh Allen?
How is that possible?
I don't get it.
I totally don't get it.
How is he? How is he above Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, seriously.
What?
Lamar Jackson.
What a joke.
I mean, Lamar Jackson has more talent on one hand than Carson Wentz with a blown-out knee.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I mean,
here's another one.
What the hell?
What were you going to say, Tom? I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, it's like, how the hell is Carson Wentz above everybody else?
Great question. But here's another one. How about Cam Newton over Josh Allen?
No, I can't accept that.
I can't.
No. Nope.
It maybe if Newton was about 7 years younger, maybe, but definitely not at this point in his career.
No.
Especially all the injuries and how beat up he's been and everything. I mean, I can't put him above Josh Allen, honestly.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and here's another one. Why the hell is Aaron Rodgers above Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson? And better yet, why is Carson Wentz above Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson? And better yet, why is Sam Darnold on this list? What the?
That's a good question. It's like, was he? I was gonna say, was Coward smoking like that really high quality weed or something again, or was he like huffing bath salts or doing something to be like on a bender?
Who knows what he was doing?
Oh my God!
Oh, Sam Darnold. Good
How
gosh.
did Sam Darnold end up on a list where the New York Jets, of all teams, have one of the worst offenses in the entire league?
Yeah.
The AFC, they're like the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, and Dan Orlovsky of all people is like, I would much rather have Sam Darnold over Josh Allen, over Lamar Jackson, and over Kyler Murray.
A freaking moron.
You.
I don't know. He must have been drinking that 190-something proof spiritus we have over here in Poland.
Yeah, you gotta have Kool-Aid.
One shot of that, it'll knock you out.
Oh,
In fact, actually, you know what? Just for giggles here, let's see exactly how strong that stuff is.
well, I have no idea. While you're doing that, there's another thing I noticed too, is that some people are really going hard on Josh Allen's comments about police brutality. I mean, we're off politics, but I wanted to say real quick that there's been some speculation that Josh Allen might be taking a knee during the national anthem this year. I don't really give a shit what he does at this point. That's his decision.
Right. But I will say, I mean, comments that he had with, how all of us should be together. I mean, I have no problem with him saying what he said. And it's one of those, I mean, he's just saying, hey, we're all a band of brothers on this team. He gets it. He wants to learn more. I'm totally okay with that. And it's one of those where, like, with any friends I ever meet, there's always something I learn about them that, helps me be a better person and vice versa. So I'm totally fine with that. I mean, whatever he does is whatever he does. I mean, it's totally his decision. He's in belt. He can do whatever he wants.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting too. What of all the comments that Josh Allen's like, he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to be captain check down this year. I checked the stats and I'm undefeated when I'm 60% or over in my passing ratings." So Josh Allen's fully aware of what he's doing, but he said, most of all things, I think most importantly is having a playoff home game is something we need, and that's coming with winning the division. But at the same time, Josh Allen's also said some pretty interesting things about Stephon Diggs. One being is like, oh, we're playing Call of Duty, mostly Warzone, and we can't stop playing it. And Stephon Diggs is like, honestly, every time I get down, he's right there to pick me up. Mm-hmm. And so right as like I was anxious, like anybody would want to meet him. And we played video games prior to this, man, but this man loves to work. Like, he's basically praising Stephon Diggs, and they're going to now become homies. And all of these people that think they're hot shit were like, oh, Josh Allen's going to throw a fit. Well, no, Stephon Diggs is going to throw a fit on Josh Allen, and they're not going to get along later by week 5. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, really. I would much Stephon Diggs is my number one wide receiver over someone like Devontae Parker or Denzel Mims for that matter, or even someone like Julian Edelman. Not that it matters or anything.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's actually, I just found that stuff that I was just talking about when I thought that Coward and all those guys were on there. Actually, I sent you a picture of that stuff in the chat too. It's pretty interesting stuff. I can tell you that about the Spiritus, but it's basically, it's called Fomo Spiritus Rectify Kawani. 192 proof is 96% grain alcohol.
What is that, vodka?
Yeah, it's like everything. Grain alcohol. That stuff will knock you on your ass after one shot.
Bro, if you think Colin Coward is fucking high, why don't you just try some Beard Club growth oil? It'll make you...
Yeah.
Oh, it was a matter of time.
Guess what? Yeah, but take a look at this movie. So what this says here, the description of Spiritus: gentle smell and taste. Homo Spiritus Rectify Kawani, 192 proof, is made of premium ethyl alcohol with an agricultural cereal origin. It is made in Poland, and its uses vary from preparing homemade fruit and herbal liquors, vodkas, and desserts to medical purposes.
I can see it. I can picture it now. This is what Colin Coward would look like. That's some good shit. Put in your number 2. I'm gonna put Darnold in there too. Oh yeah, if you think that's bad, why don't you put this on your fucking head, Colin? Put on some beard shampoo so you can grow your beastly face. And maybe, just maybe, if you're that big of a pussy, why don't you put on some growth vitamin spray from the Beard Club?
Oh god. No, weren't there some pills you were showing earlier with that too?
Yeah.
What?
Weren't there some pills you were showing with that also as part of that beard system?
Oh, I don't have it, but I threw it away because it smelled like crap, and I was not willing to do it. I would have had it, but it was like the size of this, but just a little smaller. But it was growth vitamins, like pills. And you put it in. What you do is you put it in your body, and you take 2 a day, one during the day, one at night. You can have it or with food; it's your choice, but it doesn't change the outcome. But you put it in, and then it's supposed to grow your metabolism within your face, and it makes you look like a manly beast. Makes you look like a yeah. So while you're in the shower, why don't you put on some beard shampoo while rubbing your nutsack with Dr. Squatch soap? Some white while you're at it.
For a moment, I thought you were saying take a couple of those pills that'll make you a few inches bigger.
That's what she said.
Oh my god.
That's what she said.
Oh.
And throw a little spiritus down with it, it'll really make you all in good shape. Yeah, nothing like a 96% alcohol. It'll be like, oh, it'll really accelerate the outcome. Oh man.
I'm gonna kill Sean one day by just making him laugh. I feel like it's gonna happen one day. They'll be like, Sean, I'm sorry! It was
Oh man.
and he'll come down and be like, it was good, bro. You're still going to hell.
Oh, I've already determined I'm going to hell at some point. Oh man. So actually, of course, I guess I know Vinny couldn't jump on because he was having browser problems with some different stuff. But actually, you know what? Let's run a nice little segment here of our favorite places to go. So he actually mentioned he lives right around the corner from this one place that actually I work around the corner from. It's called the Bayou, which is like really good Cajun stuff. So hey, for all the businesses that are watching, this is kind of like your unsolicited plug. We're actually like giving you some props here. But yeah, Bayou just opened up. Really good Cajun food. I've been there for lunch before. Really good blackened chicken and shrimp. Really good gumbo over there. Second place I really love too, out in Cheektowaga, New York, outside the Buffalo area. Kentucky Greg's Hickory Pit and Pam's Puddings and Pies are all in the same building. Really good gumbo, really good barbecue. Never had anything bad from there. They just do catering now, but they do have little pop-ups periodically. And I'll tell you, two of my favorite places. And then, Bobby, you've been to one of my other favorite places. That's Imperial.
Oh, yeah, Imperial Pizza. That's a good place.
Yep.
Yeah, my favorite place to go is Sean's Fridge. This is where I can get my ham sandwich and I can get my beer and I can just go on with my night. And Sean was even there.
No, but actually, tell us like your 2 or 3 favorite places on Long Island.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite places to go to on Long Island is a small little restaurant in Nassau County in a specific small little town where I'm from in Merrick, New York, called Super Fry. Mm-hmm. And if you're not familiar with it, think of like McDonald's and Burger King and Taco Bell mixed in as New York City style food. And you can get it right off the street, and it's a little pricey, but they have something called the Zizzini. And I'll tell you what this delicious sandwich is like. And yes, that was really fucking creepy, I know. And so
been hitting the spiritus again or something?
For what?
Been hitting that spiritus grain alcohol again?
Spirit in the sky.
Although I almost have to think it's like this nice beard, which part of it's gonna be coming off this week because I can finally get a damn haircut. Thank you, New York State.
You motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, our part is going to go to phase 3 this week, but I'll tell you about that in a moment. But Bobby, go ahead. Sorry, man.
So anyway, so the Zizzini, Sean, if you will, or Tom, because neither one of you have ever tasted it, but Tom's defense, he's been to Super Fry because
I've had a good sandwich there and good soup, and it is a good place. I can definitely vouch for it.
Yes. So the Zizzini is basically like rapini, almost in a way. It has chicken cutlet, melted cheese like mozzarella, bacon, and with some Roscoe sauce. Ooh, that stuff is delicious. And they patted it down on the grill, and you can just hear it in the background.
Mm-hmm.
God, that's the best. And then you can get sweet potato fries. You can get a custom salad. You can get something called Wifey Speaks Thai. You can get all kinds of things. There's a video about them on YouTube from Verity, and you can watch it. And they basically just describe what they have on the menu. The only complaint is that the pricing is a bit too high. So if you want to get a Zazzini, it's like $10. It's ludicrous. It's a bit ludicrous, but it's much worth it. I mean, if you're traveling from like Buffalo or Atlanta and you're just in the town, if you're just driving by, or if you're like going to a friend's house and like, hey, let's get some fucking sandwiches. Let's go to Super Fry. They have some tasty stuff there. And I see, you're ordering the Zazzini, you're ordering the ADP, you're ordering all kinds of food. I mean, I've had the 2/3 of the majority of their stuff. It's delicious if you've never been there before.
Yeah, and I remember that was the first place you took me when I flew down a year ago. It's basically we ended up going there, and I mean, it was definitely worth it. Plus, it was really close to the hotel I was staying at, also, which was nice. So definitely, it's on my list of good places down there.
Yep. All right, Sean, what do you got?
Well, I only got like 2 places in mind. Now, first off, I'm a huge baby back ribs fan.
Oh,
Huge.
Okay.
So
Me too.
the best. So my favorite, one of my favorite places to go to for ribs is Smoky Bones. I'm sure there's there are like any Smoky Bones in where you guys live at.
Yeah, actually, we do have one out in Cheektowaga, right across from the Galleria. There is one out there.
Smoky
Yeah.
Bones, Sean? No, we don't have a Smoky Bones.
Well, you gotta go to one, man. Their ribs, whew, off the chain.
Oh, wait a minute, we do have one, but it's in Ronkonkoma, which is nowhere near me. So it's beyond where I am. But there's a place that's closer to me, but it's all barbecue stuff. It's called Famous Dave's.
Oh, I've heard of Famous Dave's.
Yeah, I've eaten Famous Dave's before. We had
I don't
one
think I've been there
until a
before.
couple years ago.
I went to that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now it's a Chick-fil-A. They tore down the Famous Dave's, and then it got rebuilt by Chick-fil-A.
Ass wipes. Anyway.
Wow. Let's see. And another place that
Damn good brisket.
I think this was when I was going to school in Kentucky at the time. This sports bar literally behind an apartment complex I used to live in. It was called Overtime, and I used to go there like every Sunday to watch football games and watch WWE pay-per-views there.
Nice.
Again, the ribs, all that stuff, and and the third place, if I want to get some good Chinese food, I just go to Panda Express. You know, I love teriyaki chicken. That's
Me too.
like that's one of my favorite Chinese dishes. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But
speaking of Chinese, I did order some tonight. So I went to this. One of the things I'll tell you guys, I love our hole in the wall places that people don't really talk about much, and they don't really stand out much, and they may not look the greatest on the inside, but the food is really damn good. And one of the places that I went to tonight, and I'm glad it finally reopened, is called Peking Quick One. It's out in Tonawanda, New York, and it's on a side street. It's like right off of Brighton Road. And one of the things that they have over there, I mean, it's your standard Chinese stuff, but the thing that I like about that place a lot is that they have an actual authentic home style menu where it's like the real stuff. And I mean, they have stuff that you will not find in any other places. Well, I'll tell you, basically the way that the menu is, the one side is completely Chinese. The second side, the reverse side, they translate everything. And it's like real, like Peking style, Northern Chinese style food. And it's funny because, I mean, the orange beef that I ordered there, it's the real stuff. It's not like the sweet stuff, but it's like the real orange beef with like the hot chilies and everything else in it. And it's just, the flavor is so much better, like the real version of it. And then there's this other thing. I love I love spicy double cooked pork, and it's again the real version of it too. It's not like where they make up like a thick sauce or anything like that. It's like the real chili oil sauce that they mix in with other stuff. And then of course they throw the hot peppers and everything else in there. but one of my favorite soup from there is called the Northeast style wonton soup. And it's not like your standard stuff when you go to a Chinese restaurant and you know how you have like the pork dumplings and all that. They actually use like hot Chinese sausages mixed with pork, and they do like different things. And it's just the taste of it. Well, they'll throw like Chinese basil in there, and the broth's a little bit different. It's still like your chicken broth, but it's spiced different. And that stuff, it's like I'll order a quart of that stuff any day. I mean, that stuff just it is really, really good. And you can tell it's like the homestyle orange beef versus the regular orange beef on the menu is completely different.
Yeah. One thing too is that my favorite pizza joint to go to is a place called Tom, you really wanted to try this. Was a place called La Piazza.
We were there.
Yeah.
We went there.
Yeah, no shit. I just said Tom.
Yeah, you said I really wanted to try it. We were there, dude.
Yeah, I told you I would take you. So anyway, if you're not familiar with La Piazza is a local Long Island, pizza parlor, and they are very Italian stereotypes. Like, for instance, if you go to a La Piazza down here in Long Island in Belmore, 95.999% chance you're going to find an Italian stallion statue outside with a waterfall. And on top of all that, you're going to find another building that's connected with it. Like, it's a much fancier thing, but it's not connected per se to La Piazza. But so, like, they have, like, Ferraris. They have, like, Italian, like, style, like, food. And they have, penne alla vodka. They have pizza. They have wings. They're delicious. Again, it's a bit pricey.
Penne alla vodka.
But their penne alla vodka is magnificent. It's a mwah.
Good stuff.
It's very good stuff. And they have really good garlic knots, too. And they have rice balls. And they have chicken wraps. They have...
yeah. Didn't we get, like, Clams Casino or the steamed clams when I was down there?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, didn't we get, like, the steamed clams or the Clams Casino when I was down there with you guys?
We got mussel when we went down.
Or the mussels? Yeah, I mean, those are definitely good, too.
Yeah, and the big difference between Buffalo and Georgia compared to Long Island is Long Island is very big with seafood. So, like, if you go to any Long Island store, almost at every corner, and I took you around to a few when we were driving by, is there's a bunch of seafood places. And because you have to remember, Long Island is right around, it's surrounded by water. So there's a lot of, like, watery areas where you could see, like, shark and flounder and octopus and everything you could possibly find. You can get fried calamari, you can get fried shrimp, you can get salmon. You can get anything you want around these areas. But the point being is La Piazza makes very good Italian food, but they also add, seafood with it. So it gives it that, vintage, like you could get like an order of like pasta and you could put salmon on there. It's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah. So
yeah, definitely some good spots all around. And actually, it's one of the things too. I do want to make my way down to Atlanta one of these days. Also, just I haven't been down there in a while. I had almost gone down there 2 years ago when I did a trip down to Knoxville, Tennessee for my best friend's wedding, and I ended up canceling that last minute for family reasons. But going down to Atlanta, but I really wanted to stay down there, and I was going to spend a couple days and just really kind of take in a lot of what it has to offer. I mean, it'd been a long time since I had been there, so it's one of those things. At some point, I definitely want to come down and spend some time. So we'll see.
I have a good question for Sean. Is there any beard products you can get in Atlanta where you can grow out your beard and you can eat with your food?
Not that I'm aware of at the moment.
I don't know. Join the beard club today. Godspeed, brother.
I was going to say, if you had only brought up Dr. Squatch again, I know Vinny would have gone off the
Put the bar back. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Nate. Shut the fuck up. That's all I'm just going to say. And you have growth vitamin spray. That's on here, too. Like I said, you can get this magnificent piece of fur. Or you could look like Aslan from Narnia if you just went poof with your face. You ever read an Narnia book?
No, but I've listened to the radio episodes.
That doesn't count. I'm talking about that doesn't count. Like, you were just listening to the story. Can you tell me the story about Aslan and the witch? Yeah, sure. A kid and 4 other guys are in Narnia. One of them gets captured. gets turned to stone or whatever, you have to go see Jesus, but he's in the shape of a lion. Yeah, go see him. He solves all your problems. He won't tell you to go fuck himself, but he'll just say, touch my mane, and I'll make everything better. Let me go after the White Witch. Let me rip off her fucking head, and this way we can all just enjoy our time in Narnia. And let me just roar out a dragon, and let me just say, hey, this boy decides to turn into a dragon. Let me go get a fucking lion and say, "Rah!" right into his face, and everything will go away.
Oh man.
Sounds like, that's not even close to what you just said was accurate, but whatever, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got you.
Before I forget, I should also mention that baseball is not coming back for the year. Yankees have been accused for cheating, which has been cleared up. And then, and as of now, according to Newsday Sports on Long Island, the Rangers and the Islanders have been chosen to be one of the two teams to start off in the hub cities in Las Vegas, because Las Vegas was nominated, or at least they won the sweepstakes to be the hub city for the Western Conference. But the Rangers and the Islanders are going to be playing there.
Interesting. Yeah, and I've been on the Strip in Vegas before. I've never been to their arena, but everything I've heard is really good about it.
Yep. And there's also been some speculation between the San Jose Sharks and the Buffalo Sabres where they could potentially be working on a trade that would send Rasmus Ristolainen into the San Jose Sharks along with other assets in the trade, along with San Jose. Buffalo would get Martin Jones in a deal for Ristolainen.
Martin Jones I would have no problem with. I just don't like the fact of giving up Bristow, though. But a lot of times you have to give up someone to get someone.
Got to get the get.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get him get.
Yeah, but Martin Jones is not a bad player at all.
No, he's not. He's only 30 years old.
Right. So, I mean, he definitely still has a good amount of years left.
Yep. And Sean's like, yep. That's good, I think. At least that's what I think.
Gotcha.
He's trying so hard. It's just like, he's listening, and it's just like, yeah, that's bad shit right there. I'm sorry. I love poking fun at that guy.
It's so good. So good. Well, I think, we definitely went on for a good hour and a half. So, that's not bad. We had pretty good stuff tonight. And, and everyone watching, sorry we brought up the riot and all that stuff. But, hey, it's just one of those things. We talk about anything on the show. It's not scripted. We just go to whatever we decide to go with. So, it is what it is. But, just, keep everybody in their thoughts. Let's hope everything works out okay. Before we take off, Sean, where can we find you on YouTube?
You can search me on YouTube, Big Fresh Matt. Got a channel there. I do Buffalo Bills news, all that stuff. I actually just posted a vlog on the channel. I went to an AEW show back in February. And also, I posted on Twitter, which you can follow me at Big Fresh Matt as well, that I'm going to be starting up a gaming channel later this month. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Awesome. Good stuff. And then, Bobby, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube, at SoundCloud, and Instagram, and Twitter at thebeardclub.com. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not in the Beard Club. Actually, because I'm holding the products. But no, in all seriousness, I am on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and of course on SoundCloud at the Big Y on YouTube. You can follow me at Buffalo Bobcast. And I do daily, videos and whatever with guests, like special guests. And I have one rumor circulating, Tom, and you're going to really like this. I got a confirmed message, and I sent down this person, and you're going to be very surprised who it is. I sent him a message today, and I said, hey, you want to come on my show at some point in June? And the guy says, sure. You want to know who that guy is?
Yeah, who is it?
Rob Ray.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I'm working on a deal to get Rob Ray to come on my show.
Dude, that would be awesome. Actually, you know what? While we're at it, let's try to get him on here for like a Saturday night skit.
Fuck you! I'm getting it first.
Yeah, no, it's part of it. Let's bring him on. Let's have him be part of our show on Saturday night. Let's see what we can do.
Let's get a West Coast guy first before we talk about Rob Ray.
All right. But yeah, Rob Ray, he's a pretty cool guy. I've actually met him in person a couple times too. He's a really cool guy. So, definitely that'll be an awesome thing to see on your show. So definitely. And And then anyone who's following, and then anyone who's following me also, of course, I have the Tom Wojcik Show on YouTube, and then I also have SoundCloud as well. So, check it out. I'm going to get some new episodes up fairly soon. And then we also have Horns and Hooves Entertainment on Facebook, Horns and Hooves ENT on Twitter, and coming soon, we have a website that's coming out. And no, it's not the Beard Club.
Yeah, fuck you, okay? We're going to shit out of it.
Yeah, but no, actually, all seriousness, so we do have a site that's going to be coming up soon. It's in the works, so, once we have it up, we'll let you know.
You want Dr. Squadron, you want fucking Beer Club. Unless you want Turkish Delight.
I wonder how the Blarney Stone would do with that stuff.
What are you talking about, the Blarney Stone? What are you talking about?
Oh, man.
Blarney Stone.
There you go.
You're going to make me do it, aren't you? You're going to make me bring out my full Irishman.
Of course, you knew it had to come out, right?
I'm literally holding a piece of the stone in my hand right now. All you have to do is
Nice.
Ew, man.
Oh,
my gosh. Bobby, are you alive tonight? Yes, John. Get it. It's the fucking beer growth oil. I'm high as fuck.
Yeah. I was going to say, the beard oil making you a little high or something?
Right.
But yeah, before I go.
Of course.
Of course.
Just,
hey, Bobby, when you grow a full beard like this, maybe we could talk.
For real.
And this is no product added.
I mean, look how sharp and pointy this thing is. All you have to do is just twist it up. And
Yeah,
then,
Sean's got a good beard going.
ah!
All right.
I got a dick pointer.
Gosh.
Ready to go to Simon? Ding.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
And one thing before we all go, and I know Tom's been saying, yeah, we're going to go by, is we forgot to mention one thing that's been trending. Sean, I'm talking to you, is the
What's the
PlayStation 5.
name? What?
PlayStation 5, the PS5.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh. Oh.
That.
Dude, the console looks awesome.
You know what that looks like? It looks
I've
like
seen it.
Sauron's Tower from Lord of the Rings.
I've seen people post pictures of all that stuff, all the memes, all that stuff. I've seen it, but the console itself, it looks awesome, and I got my eye set on the digital edition, so I cannot wait.
Mm-hmm.
I can barely see it because of the background.
Yeah, I know. It's the Xbox Series X, but it's the table, and it's like a fiberglass, but above that is the PS5.
Oh yeah. Wow.
It's like
Oh,
one of
man.
those tables you can get at like Home Goods or IKEA.
Man, but that PS5 is nice, man. Really nice.
It does. So,
Yeah, definitely.
all right.
And as soon as they introduced Ratchet and Clank, I was sold from right then and there, because I'm a huge Ratchet and Clank fan.
Really? Well, Ratchet and Clank, there's a Ballsack Boy is getting his own game, and yes,
Yeah, I saw that.
his name is Sackboy, but I call him Ballsack Boy because he looks like a pair of balls. And I put him that there. And then you also have Astro's game Playroom. That's coming out.
Yep.
Spider-Man Miles Morales is coming out on the PS5.
Mhm.
GTA 5 is getting another reboot on the PS5.
Yep.
Whoopee! Yeah, can't wait
Yeah,
for that.
I think they're also doing a remake of Demon's Souls or something like that. I don't know.
I didn't like Demon's
I
Souls.
mean, not that I'm gonna play it.
Uncharted. That's getting a remake.
Hmm.
Yeah, would you look at that? Maybe you can actually have the play it.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see though when it comes out.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yep.
So I guess we can wrap up the show. We dragged on long enough, and we were off topic, but
Yeah, good show. I mean, not a lot of sports to talk about, but still got a lot of stuff out there. So, yeah, just the biggest thing I'll say is, of course, it's our third show. Thanks for joining us as usual. We appreciate it. Definitely like and subscribe here on YouTube. Definitely follow us on the Facebook. Follow us on the Instagram. Kick Bobby in the nuts a little bit because that growth might actually give him a little more. And then we'll talk to you guys next weekend. So in the meantime, guys, take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next week.
All right. You all have a good one.
See you guys.
See you later.
See ya.
Bye.
There we go.
You're still recording.